There are certain tastes that live in memory long after they disappear from store shelves. A candy bar you once traded at recess, a neon-colored drink that made summers feel endless, the cookies so big it seemed impossible to finish. They were more than just snacks. They were little time capsules of American life, of school lunchboxes, weekend sleepovers, and grocery store aisles that felt like wonderlands for kids with a few crumpled dollars in their pockets. But not everything lasts forever. Over the years, entire products have vanished, some quietly, others with a surprising amount of drama. Some were banned, some faded from popularity, and others just couldn't keep up with changing tastes or regulations. Yet for the people who grew up with them, these snacks hold a special place in memory, a reminder of a time when food felt fun, new, and sometimes just a little bit rebellious. Tonight, we're counting down 25 banned and forgotten American snacks that disappeared forever. Some were beloved classics. Others were wild experiments that didn't survive the test of time. But all of them carry a story, of the era they were born in, the people who loved them, and the reasons they vanished. So sit back as we open the pantry door of history, one snack at a time. 1. The original Coca-Cola with cocaine. Before it became the family-friendly soda we know today, Coca-Cola contained a surprising secret ingredient, cocaine. In the late 1800s, the drink was marketed as a health tonic, promising energy, focus, and even cures for ailments like headaches and fatigue. And it wasn't false advertising, the early formula really did give people a jolt. At the time, cocaine was widely used in medicines and carried none of the stigma it does today. But by the early 1900s, attitudes began to change. Concerns over addiction and public health grew, and by 1929, Coca-Cola had fully removed cocaine from its recipe, replacing it with caffeine for that same energizing kick. The drink lived on, of course, becoming one of the most iconic brands in American history. But the story of its original formula remains a reminder of just how different the world once was, and how even the most wholesome products can have a surprising past. 2. Candy cigarettes. For decades, candy cigarettes were a staple of childhood, thin, chalky sticks of sugar wrapped in paper, sometimes even with a red tip to mimic a glowing ember. Kids would puff imaginary smoke rings on playgrounds, imitating the adults they saw in movies or on TV. But as public awareness about the dangers of smoking grew, so did criticism of candy cigarettes. Health groups argued that they normalized smoking for kids, blurring the line between candy and a deadly habit. By the 1990s, many companies rebranded them as candy sticks, while others disappeared entirely. Still, for a generation of kids, these little white candies live on in memory, a sugary symbol of a time when no one thought twice about kids pretending to smoke on the front porch. 3. Orbit soda. Launched in 1997, Orbit soda looked less like a drink and more like a science experiment. Inside each bottle floated tiny, brightly colored spheres that hovered in suspension, making it feel like you were drinking a lava lamp. The unusual texture, combined with quirky flavors like raspberry citrus and vanilla orange, made Orbits a brief curiosity in the late 90s. Kids were fascinated, parents were puzzled, and everyone who tried it seemed to agree. It was fun to look at, less fun to drink. Sales fizzled within a year, but Orbits became one of those unforgettable 90s products, proof that sometimes a strange idea can leave a lasting impression, even if it doesn't last long on store shelves. 4. Butterfinger BBs. In the 1990s, Nestle shrunk its popular Butterfinger candy bar into tiny, bite-sized spheres called Butterfinger BBs. The commercials were loud, colorful, and filled with the mischievous antics of Bart Simpson, who practically adopted the candy as his own. For kids, Butterfinger BBs were perfect, easy to share, fun to eat, and small enough to sneak into movie theaters. But they melted easily, leaving sticky orange crumbs everywhere. By the mid-2000s, the candy was discontinued, though fans still beg for its return online. It remains one of those products tied to a specific time, the era of 90s commercials, Saturday morning cartoons, and snack foods that felt like they were made just for kids. 5. Hi-C Ecto Cooler. Few drinks captured the 1980s like Hi-C Ecto Cooler, a neon green citrus punch created to promote Ghostbusters in 1987. With Slimer the Ghost on every box, the drink became a phenomenon, lasting far beyond the movie's popularity. Kids loved its tart, sugary taste, but the real magic was in the branding. Lunchrooms across America turned green with Ecto Cooler juice boxes, and for nearly a decade, it was a school cafeteria favorite. By 2001, sales slowed, and the drink quietly disappeared, only to return briefly in 2016 for the Ghostbusters reboot, selling out almost instantly. Today, fans still trade recipes online, hoping to recreate the flavor of childhood summers long gone. Number 6. Jell-O 1, 2, 3. In the 1960s, Jell-O introduced a dessert that felt like pure magic, Jell-O 1, 2, 3. With just one packet, you could make a 3-layered treat, gelatin on the bottom, a creamy middle, and a frothy top. As it chilled in the fridge, the layers separated on their own, turning a simple dessert into something almost futuristic. For decades, Jell-O 1-2-3 was a hit at family gatherings, church potlucks, and birthday parties. It looked fancy, but anyone could make it, and the commercials promised 3 desserts in 1. But by the 1990s, sales slowed as tastes shifted toward simpler, ready-to-eat treats. The product was discontinued in 1996, leaving behind memories of pastel-colored desserts on Grandma's dining room table. It wasn't just about the taste. Jell-O 1-2-3 was about the spectacle. The moment you sliced into it and revealed 3 perfect layers, as if you had done something far more complicated than stirring powder into water. Number 7. Life Savers Holes. In 1990, Life Savers launched a product that seemed like a clever idea: Life Savers Holes. The concept was simple: if Life Savers candies had holes in the middle, why not sell the holes as bite-sized candies? Packed in small plastic tubes, Life Savers Holes came in the same fruity flavors as the original rings, but they were tiny, round, and perfect for snacking. Kids loved them, trading tubes at lunch and rattling them like little candy maracas. But the packaging became a problem. The caps sometimes popped off unexpectedly, creating a choking hazard. By the mid-1990s, the product was quietly pulled from shelves. Today, people remember them fondly online, wishing someone would bring back the candy that turned a punchline into a real product. Number 8. PB Max. In 1989, Mars introduced PB Max, a candy bar with peanut butter, oats, and a chocolate coating. It was marketed as a peanut butter lover's dream, with commercials teasing that it had so much peanut butter, it scared the peanut butter haters away. PB Max sold well, over $50 million in its first year alone. So why did it disappear by the mid-1990s? Strangely, Mars executives reportedly didn't like peanut butter themselves and decided not to keep it in production. The decision baffled fans, especially since PB Max had a loyal following. Today, candy enthusiasts call it one of the greatest discontinued candy bars of all time, a victim not of poor sales, but of corporate indifference. Number 9. Squeeze-It drinks. In the late 80s and 90s, few things felt cooler in a lunchbox than Squeeze-It drinks, brightly colored fruit drinks in plastic bottles with twist-off tops. You didn't just drink them, you squeezed them, making every gulp feel like an event. Flavors had fun names like Mean Green Puncher and Rockin' Red Puncher, and the bottles even came with little character faces molded into the plastic. Kids collected the empties, lined them up, and compared flavors after school. But by the early 2000s, Squeeze-It disappeared, a casualty of changing tastes and growing concerns over sugary drinks. For millennials, though, Squeeze-It remains a symbol of 1990s childhood, a time when even your drink bottle had personality. Number 10. Planters Cheese Balls. In the 1980s and 90s, Planters cheese balls were the ultimate party snack: bright orange, perfectly crunchy, and packed in tall blue cans that seemed bottomless. The flavor coated your fingers in neon dust, the kind you'd lick off while watching Saturday morning cartoons. But in the 2000s, Planters discontinued cheese balls, claiming low demand. Fans protested for years, creating petitions and Facebook groups begging for their return. Finally, in 2018, Planters brought them back for a limited run, proving that nostalgia has real power. Even today, people stockpile cans whenever they reappear, unwilling to let the snack that defines so many childhoods vanish again. Number 11. Keebler Magic Middles. In the late 1980s and early 90s, Keebler Magic Middles felt like a dream come true, a shortbread cookie with a surprise pocket of gooey chocolate or peanut butter in the center. One bite, and the soft filling would ooze out, a secret treasure inside a simple cookie. Kids loved them. Parents loved them. And the commercials, with the famous Keebler elves baking in their treehouse, made it all feel delightfully whimsical. But by the mid-1990s, Magic Middles were discontinued, reportedly because they were expensive to make compared to simpler cookies. Fans still bring them up on nostalgia forums, begging Keebler to bring them back. For many, Magic Middles represented a childhood where even cookies seemed magical. Number 12. Wonka Bar, Original. Long before the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie revivals, Nestle launched a real Wonka Bar in 1971 to promote the original film. Kids dreamed of finding a golden ticket, just like in the story, and for a while, you actually could. Some promotions included real prizes hidden inside the wrappers. The chocolate itself? Creamy, rich, with a slight honey flavor. It stayed on shelves through the 70s and 80s, vanishing and reappearing a few times over the decades before being discontinued entirely in the 2010s. Today, the Wonka name still brings instant nostalgia even if the bar itself is gone. Proof that some foods are tied more to imagination than taste. Number 13. Hostess Chocodiles. Back in the 1980s, Hostess introduced Chocodiles, essentially a Twinkie covered in chocolate. Marketed as the best of both worlds, Chocodiles promised the soft sponge cake and creamy filling of a Twinkie with the rich taste of a candy bar. They developed a cult following, especially on the West Coast, where distribution was limited. People would stock up whenever they found them, freezing boxes to make them last. Eventually, Hostess discontinued Chocodiles, but when the company was revived in 2013, they briefly brought them back. Even so, the original 80s version lives on as the one fans remember most fondly, a reminder of a time when even snack cakes had their own mythology. Number 14. Crispy M&M's Original Run. Before they became a permanent product in 2015, Crispy M&M's launched in 1999 with a crunchy rice center inside the classic candy shell. They were lighter than peanuts, less sweet than caramel, and had a satisfying snap that made them an instant hit. But after just 6 years, in 2005, they vanished without explanation. Fans wrote letters, started petitions, and swapped stories online about how much they missed the bright blue bags. Their return a decade later proved how powerful nostalgia can be. But for many, the original release, the commercials, the excitement, the mystery of why they disappeared, remains the era they remember most. Number 15. Pepsi Blue. Launched in 2002, Pepsi Blue was hard to miss. A bright, electric blue soda with a berry cotton candy flavor. It was Pepsi's attempt to capture early 2000s youth culture, with edgy commercials and a look that screamed extreme. Some loved it. Others thought it tasted like liquid candy. But it was bold, different, and unforgettable. By 2004, declining sales and changing trends killed Pepsi Blue, though it made a brief comeback in 2021 after years of fan requests. Even today, people remember that first sip, a neon blue relic of the Y2K era, when even sodas were trying to push boundaries. Number 16. Fruitopia. In the mid-1990s, Fruitopia hit the shelves with psychedelic packaging, wild flavor names like Strawberry Passion Awareness, and commercials that felt like mini music videos. Coca-Cola launched it as the cool, artsy alternative to boring fruit juices, something for teenagers who wanted a drink with attitude. For a few years, Fruitopia was everywhere: schools, malls, vending machines. It felt less like a beverage and more like part of the 90s cultural wave alongside grunge music and funky MTV ads. But by the early 2000s, Coca-Cola quietly phased it out, shifting focus to Minute Maid and other brands. Today, people remember the colorful bottles and trippy commercials more than the taste itself, a perfect time capsule of 90s youth culture. Number 17. No list of vanished American drinks is complete without New Coke, the infamous 1985 reformulation that replaced the original Coca-Cola recipe. Meant to compete with Pepsi's sweeter taste, New Coke sparked one of the biggest consumer backlashes in marketing history. Fans protested. Letters poured in. Some even stockpiled the original formula. Within 3 months, Coca-Cola brought back Coca-Cola Classic, admitting defeat. Ironically, the fiasco gave Coke more publicity than any ad campaign ever could. New Coke disappeared, but the story lives on as one of the most legendary product missteps in American history. Number 18. Hi-C Ecto Cooler. In 1987, Hi-C partnered with the Ghostbusters franchise to release Ecto Cooler, a neon green, citrus-flavored drink tied to the character Slimer. Kids loved it, not just because it tasted good, but because it felt like drinking something straight out of the movie universe. Ecto Cooler lasted far longer than the film's peak popularity, surviving into the early 2000s before disappearing. Fans begged for its return, and in 2016, during the Ghostbusters reboot, it briefly came back, selling out almost instantly. Today, empty Ecto Cooler boxes sell on eBay as collectibles, a reminder of when even our drinks came with a dose of Hollywood magic. Number 19. Orbit Soda. Launched in 1997, Orbit's soda looked like something from a science fiction movie. The clear bottles held a fruity, slightly carbonated liquid with floating, gelatin-like balls suspended inside. The label called it a texturally enhanced alternative beverage. People bought it out of sheer curiosity. It looked like a lava lamp you could drink. But the texture turned off many consumers, and by 1998, Orbits vanished from shelves. Still, nostalgia forums buzz with memories of this odd, futuristic drink. A product too weird to last but too unique to forget. Number 20. Burger King's frozen Coke. In the 1990s, Burger King introduced frozen Coke, a slushy version of the classic soda. It was a huge hit during summer months, turning fast food stops into frozen drink runs for kids and teens alike. But distribution costs and machine maintenance issues led many Burger King locations to quietly phase it out over time. McDonald's had its frozen drinks, 7-Eleven had its Slurpees, and Burger King's frozen Coke slowly disappeared from the competition. Fans still ask about it online, remembering the brain freeze-inducing treat as part of their childhood fast food memories. Number 21. Butterfinger BBs. In 1992, Nestlé launched Butterfinger BBs, bite-sized balls of the classic Butterfinger candy bar. The commercials featuring Bart Simpson made them feel rebellious and fun, like the snack your parents didn't want you to have but always ended up buying anyway. They were perfect for movie theaters, road trips, and school lunches. But by the mid-2000s, Butterfinger BBs quietly disappeared, with the company citing production and melting issues. Fans still miss them desperately, often ranking BBs above all the spin-offs that came after. For many, nothing quite matched the simple joy of popping those crunchy, peanut buttery spheres straight from the box. Number 22. 3D Doritos, Original Run. Launched in 1998, 3D Doritos were puffed-up, hollow versions of the classic chip, lighter, crispier, and packed with flavors like jalapeno cheddar. The commercials were everywhere, featuring roller coaster stunts and edgy late 90s energy. By the early 2000s, though, sales slowed and the product vanished, until a limited revival in 2021 brought them back for a new generation. But ask anyone who had them the first time around, and they'll tell you, the original run felt bigger, bolder, and far more exciting than the comeback. Number 23. PB Max. In 1989, Mars introduced PB Max, a peanut butter and chocolate bar topped with oats, promising a hearty alternative to candy bars. It sold well, was widely loved, and seemed destined for a long life on store shelves. Then, suddenly it was gone. Rumors swirled that the Mars family simply didn't like peanut butter products, a claim never fully confirmed but repeated often by nostalgic fans online. Whatever the reason, PB Max remains one of the great snack mysteries. Why kill a product people actually loved? Number 24. Jell-O Pudding Pops. In the 1980s, Jell-O Pudding Pops dominated freezer aisles, thanks in part to TV ads starring Bill Cosby. They were creamy, affordable, and perfect for hot summer days. At their peak, sales hit $100 million annually. Yet by the early 2000s, General Foods discontinued them, citing declining demand as frozen yogurt and newer desserts gained popularity. Today, people share copycat recipes online, trying to recreate the taste of childhood summers that pudding pops once defined. Number 25. Planters Cheese Balls. Finally, we end with Planters Cheese Balls, those neon orange, finger-staining snacks that hit peak popularity in the 80s and 90s. Their round shape, tangy cheese flavor, and blue canister made them iconic. But by 2006, Planters discontinued them, sparking online petitions and even Facebook groups begging for their return. In 2018, they finally brought them back for a limited run, proving that sometimes, nostalgia really does win. For many, cheese balls weren't just a snack. They were the taste of birthday parties, sleepovers, and school lunchboxes, a true flavor of growing up. As we look back at these vanished snacks and drinks, it becomes clear, this isn't just a list of products that disappeared from shelves. It's a story about childhoods, about growing up in a time when the world felt simpler, flavors felt bolder, and even a trip to the grocery store could spark a sense of wonder. Each bite, each sip, was more than just food. It was a moment in time. A birthday party with pudding pops melting too fast in the summer heat. A can of Pepsi Blue shared with friends at the mall. A box of Butterfinger BBs tucked into a backpack for a long bus ride home. These weren't just snacks, they were part of the soundtrack of our lives. And as the years passed, they vanished quietly, leaving behind memories we didn't realize we were making. That's the thing about nostalgia, it sneaks up on you. One day, you're reaching for a product that's been there for years, and suddenly, it's gone forever. But maybe that's why we remember them so fondly. Because even though the snacks have faded, the memories remain. The laughter, the colors, the commercials, the excitement of discovering something new, they all stay with us. If you grew up with any of these snacks, or if this list brought back even one forgotten memory, we'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Which one do you miss the most? Which flavor from your childhood do you wish you could taste just one more time? And if you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more videos like this. Because here, we celebrate the flavors, the moments, and the memories of the America.